They're here, or they're about to be here. The next generation of Kansas City Chiefs are on their way, and the last two generations have been really good. The last two draft classes have made significant contributions to this championship. Who comes next, and how do they get it done? Tonight on RGR. We are going to start that. He's Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. This is RGR Football. It's where we talk Chiefs and NFL and how it all fits together. And tonight's special because we're going to answer all of your questions. You guys are driving this show tonight. I just want to kick it off with, I felt like very Star Trek-y when I was writing the title today. Like, who's the next gen? Because we got to take a step back. They let 3 starters go. 3 starters in the top 5 positions on a football program.
Yeah.
That's more significant than I think we've been so lost in looking at possible replacements, right? Like, we have to take a step back and be like, and understand ourselves. 3 of the top 5 need new starters.
Yeah, it's definitely a situation to be in. And especially when you consider wide receiver, there has been now talk. Jim Nagy tweeted today that he's hearing that there's probably only going to be 1 receiver drafted in the first round, which honestly, when you reflect on the receiver class, doesn't shock me. Jackson Smith-Njigba is like the only guy that I'm going to have a full mid-round first grade on. That's it. Everyone else is like, okay, into the first, if you want to reach for him. Like, that's where I'm going to have just about everybody else.
I have 2.
I know you have Addison as a first-round pick. I know you do. I'm less sold. But again, end of the first, top of the second, wwhatever. There's a lot of questions. The fact that
we have to talk about it is significant, right?
And honestly, that makes things worse for the Chiefs. It does. Because if we're not getting 3 or 4 receivers that go off before they need tackle defensive end, what does that mean? That means that defensive end tackles are going to be going higher, and they're going to have to find a way to either get up to get one of these guys, or they're going to be drafting a receiver at the end of the first when they might not have a first-round grade on the guy that they're drafting. That's kind of a problem. There's going to be some interesting developments because, again, at the end of the day, if they don't like what they see, there's going to be some crazy stuff that happens in terms of draft night trades. I am very interested because the last couple of years we've had receivers, big name receivers, be traded close to, if not on draft day. I wonder
D-Hop.
I don't think it's necessarily D-Hop.
Nope.
I don't think it's necessarily D-Hop because I don't think they have any leverage with him. I think he's going to get cut. I think he's just going to they're going to be like, but we're just not going to deal with it. But regardless, we'll get to that in some of the questions. But, there's other big name receivers that have got trade rumors flying around. And I'm very interested to see what ends up happening because the Chiefs might be in that trade market very, very eagerly. And they'll kind of need it too.
I got to tell you, and not that I disagree with you, but this is also the week where, all the insurgents are lighting all the tires on fire to make as much smoke as possible.
Exactly.
So this could be
where you make your money.
Ding, ding, ding. And this could be the most over smoked draft in history, given what we think could be traded for that doesn't end up being traded for. I'm really intrigued by it. But either way, you guys are going to have new Kansas City Chiefs, and we appreciate you being here. We got some super chats already. That is a great way to support the channel and us. We very much appreciate it. But I do have to give you an announcement. We're very, very close.
So close.
The draft guide will be out on Wednesday at the very latest. If I can burn all the midnight oil, we'll have it out before then. I promise you. We've made a ton of improvements, and I'm really excited about it. Brand new system. The algorithm is going to give you an overall rank that you've never seen before, not even from me. So Dan has done a ton of work on this class. Jeff Porter has done all the stats research on this class. My matrix is in there. We came together as a group, along with EJ Holt, our DB guy. We have a ton for you. Don't miss out. You can still pre-order if you like. You'll get an email from me as soon as it's available if you are one of the pre-order candidates. If you just want to wait until it comes out, that's fine too. But use the RGR23 code. It gets you a nice discount and still lets us get the word out. So we appreciate that. We're going to have more content on NFL 33 coming as well, because now I'm going to have to explain myself for some of these things and why Quentin Johnson is not a first-round wide receiver for me. I might be alone, although Jim Nagy's starting to make me feel better about the way I feel. So that's
doesn't have a first-round grade for me either. He doesn't. He has a second-round grade. He's got a second round. It's what he is.
They can call us crazy, but if you would like to support crazy, you can jump into the store, grab some of the gear. You can grab this one. You can grab this one. They're all over there. We got all kinds of new stuff. And that all comes into what we do here tonight. So all that said, we appreciate all of your support. It's been great lately. I'm doing a media tour right now as well. I think I've been on 7 radio stations in the last 4 days all over the country. There's going to be a lot more. So if you hear me somewhere, don't worry. I'm still giving you guys the inside information. And that's going to start by answering your questions. And Gary's up first tonight. Gary Holland, one of our oldest contributors. Appreciate you, Gary. Would you guys take Anton Harris at 25 or take DeJuan Jones at right tackle for 31? Where do you stand, Dan?
Anton Harrison. It's not even close for me, because then you're trading up 6 spots and you're going to get a guy who can, I think, plug and play left tackle early. Right now, you'll have some development stuff. Like he's like a little bit of a more refined Eric Fisher in the sense that, and a little bit more upper body torque, in my opinion, too. He didn't really get that until his 3rd or 4th season in the NFL. Had a couple of weight training exercises that he was doing. I think Oklahoma does a better job than, what was it, Western Michigan or Central Michigan that he came out of, or one of those two that have a better workout regimen. And so Anton has a little bit more torque to him. So you really do see that on tape. I think he's a bit more refined, but a guy who can plug and play left tackle and give you an option to put Jawaan Taylor where he's going to be comfortable. Again, they want to move him from right to left, which will possibly make him uncomfortable. If you take a guy who's already going to be your left tackle that plays left tackle, this will make him comfortable. This will make Jawaan Taylor comfortable. It really kind of gets the best out of both of these guys. So that's where I'm going.
I agree. Quite frankly, I would be hard-pressed to take DeJuan Jones at 63 because of the way he fits the Chiefs. That doesn't mean he's a bad tackle. He's a second-round tackle on my board. It's just for the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't think he fits. He is honestly the closest thing to Orlando Brown in this draft, and I'm not interested in that. I know he's got his 78-foot span on his arm length. Great. I know he's strong through the chest. I get that. His anchor is incredible. Yes, those are all true things. I don't want it on this roster. I want feet. I will take an undersized guy that has to develop strength. I'll put him in my program, and I will live with that because his feet are better. And that's exactly where I'm going every time. That's all right. Sorry, Gary.
On YouTube TV. That's weird.
Oh, that's poor. I swear I'm yelling into this dang microphone.
Yeah, that's their problem. That's not us.
Okay, so that's not a me thing. Okay, no. Okay, good. John S., glad you're back. Good to see you. What should Veach do? 1, trade up and get a player 18 to 25, losing some picks. 2, stay at 31 and wait to see who we get. Or 3, trade back and now have multiple seconds and thirds. I'm going to tell you this, and we just did a show on Locked On Chiefs today about tiers and why they're significant. And I will tell you this, just like Dan said, there's maybe 2 first-round receivers on our boards. And if the NFL is going to be realistic, they're going to agree too. So what does that mean? It means the tier of offensive tackle, which is much wider. I have at least 5, could be 6 guys that are going to be right around first round for me. And defensive ends, they're going to be more plentiful, right? But can you stick at 31 and get them? That's the question. So for me, I'm not going to trade back because I need to get a blue chip player at one of these top 3 positions. I will only stay pat or move up. What do you have?
I don't know if they can realistically move down. I know people want to get shots. Like typically you want more shots at the top 100 picks. But at 31 and then 63, if you're trading back, you're not getting one of those possible guys either. Like it's hard to get one anyway. Like there's only like 2 blue chip players in this entire draft outside of quarterback position. There's only 2, in my opinion. There's some really good players. Huh?
Talk to me.
Yeah, just guys that the Chiefs aren't going to be able to get. Like in terms of Will Anderson and Jalen Carter. I think those 2 guys are the only realistic blue chip prospects in this draft class. But there's also a lot of really good elite players. Like they're really good, and they got to find a way to either get up to get one of these guys or hope one falls. But if it's going to end up being a 1-2 receivers that go in the first round, what they need is not going to be there at 31. So you have to move up, in my opinion. They don't really have much of a choice.
Yeah, I feel you, and that's okay. That happens some years. What do you have, like 11 draft picks right now? 12, 10 draft picks? If you only bring in 7 guys at the end of the day, that's okay. because that tells you the quality of guy that you have. And I think that's important as well.
Yeah.
So it becomes about getting the right person. And you never know who that is, but I like this next question. So Luis is asking, and thank you, John. How about Cody Mock from North Dakota State or Blake Freeland from BYU? Look like a good draft pick. And, you know, there's something to be said for a guy that looks like this. Okay? I mean, he's Ryan Jensen 2.0 in my mind. Like, he's mean, he's nasty. He's coming from a small program, but they've put some guys into the league. Love his smile. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, he's missing a few teeth, looks like a hockey player. And I think that's the kind of guy you want. But he's not as athletic as people make him out to be or did early in the process. I think upon further reflection, he's not quite the athlete they thought. I do think he is a top 3 guard. We'll see how it stacks out when I'm 100% done. Dan, how do you feel about Mock overall?
I like Mock. I actually, when I watched his tape, he moves much better in space than I think you give him credit for personally. Okay. But I don't think he's going to be somebody that lines up blocks on the second level and out wide extremely well. He does move well. He gets there quickly. And then it feels like it all sometimes falls apart. Like he doesn't always have the right angle. He gets out there well, but it's almost uncontrolled in a sense that he's kind of fighting it. He's trying to get out there as fast as he can, but he's not lining up his blocks properly. So he'll miss a little bit from time to time. And that can put you in a bad position. So I think he's a really good mover. I think he plays all 5 positions, and that gives him elite versatility. I think he could play all 5, which is unheard of for most players coming out in draft class. But again, I think he's going to go mid round 2. So might end up being out of the Chiefs' reach because, again, he's probably going to be one of the top 3 guards selected. And I think as soon as round 2 comes around, those guys are going to fly off the board. That's usually how it goes for the interior offensive line guys. But I really do like him. Very, very versatile player. Tough. I didn't have any like huge negatives on his game. Just his anchor was not what I wanted to see from him. Okay. I thought that he got some hands in the chest and kind of flew back a little bit from time to time. But NFL workroom, if you run in more zone anyway, and whatever, I don't care so much about it.
I don't care, whatever. Here, you take this next one. I'm going to set something up real quick.
All right. Thank you for the comments, Steve. Loved both your interviews, and how about those Chiefs? Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad you got to watch those. You do a lot of work to make this a fantastic show. That's honestly, after this last month and a half, that comment means a lot. It means a lot, Steve. We a lot of it goes unknown about how much work it's being done. I'll give you guys a little bit of insight. Over 110 prospects are going to be on this draft guide. Over 110. And I'm not trying to flaunt it. Majority of that is Ryan and myself. That's it. Like that's who did all of these players. Yes, Avery.
And what that means is we're taking a minimum of 3 games and we're watching them for how this player acts. We grade him on aspects of his game. We get a rating there and we compare him to everybody else, apples to apples to apples. And it's a lot of work and it's a ton of time. And that's the thing that's difficult. Are we Dane Brugler? Do we have 300 plus actual film reviews? No. But we have everybody that's going to be a top 100 pick that we feel deserves that is going to be in this draft guide, not only for film, production, and athleticism, but we're going to stack them out for you as well. And Dan's doing this while being a single parent for the most part. So, Mama, you'll be happy when you're home. And I'm sure you'll see this at some point. But Steve, also, thank you for the comments. And thanks for checking it out over on Cole's channel. Cole does a great job. And I had a great talk with him. I know Dan did too. I know Seth did too. And it is fun to hear some questions that once we get into the thick of it, we get on a roll and you know, outside questions like make us stop and reevaluate. And I think that's good for the process. I think it makes us better.
I'm with you there.
Steve also had a question. From our current wide receiver room, what does the depth chart perspective look like from 1 through 7 based on their skill sets? Well, I want to give me your take here in a second, but I want to go back to the other player, Blake Freeland, because Blake Freeland, this guy is one of the guys that I'm talking about when I say I'd rather have an underpowered athletic tackle that can gain strength than have a guy who can't move. Freeland is the best athlete in this draft class at the tackle position.
Shows too.
Yeah, but he is underpowered, and he does, because of that, have a little bit of balance issues from time to time. There are things that he'll have to clean up, but the athletic upside that's represented by him gives you more of a positive feeling 2 years from now than, say, somebody who does have their feet stuck. This is the same evaluation. I went and I checked, and a lot of the things that I have on DeJuan Jones are exactly what I put down for Darian Kennard as well. And so not everybody is Trey Smith that can overcome that.
I'm with you.
Okay. So wide receiver, that's a good question.
There's only like 4 receivers on the roster that are like starters from last year at some point, right? Like that. There's 4 guys. There's MVS, there's Sky Moore, there's Kadarius Toney, and now there's Richie James. Everyone else didn't play for the Chiefs. I mean, there are some snaps of Cornell Powell, so I guess you could slide him in at the 5 because he did play for the Chiefs last year. But again, he's a practice squad guy. So there's even Smith Marset as well. So if we're looking at it from that perspective, there's MVS, there's Kadarius Toney, there's Sky Moore, Richie James, and then the 2 guys that played for the Chiefs snaps last year, Cornell Powell and Smith Marset, even though he was acquired later. Then you just pencil in Justin. I would just pencil in Justin Ross right at the end there.
Yep.
Okay.
And he's in here. You can see him third at left. And our lads, shout out to them. They do a good job at keeping up with this. Ty Freifogel's a complete dart. We'll see what comes of it. And then John Ross, well, we have seen Justin. I haven't seen John yet, so we don't know where he's at otherwise. But I got to say, everybody that isn't one of these top 3 guys is still a question mark for a 53-man slot. I am waiting patiently, and I think the draft is going to determine whether Justin Watson returns to the roster or not.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it could be a possibility. And Dylan's kind of going down that path. Let's see. Do you guys think that OBJ going to the Ravens signing makes it more difficult to get a quality wide receiver like D-Hop at a decent price? I don't think that it does, because quite frankly, the Chiefs elected not to do this. If they wanted to move money around and play the game, they could have done this deal for OBJ. They clearly had an amount of money they were willing to spend, and that was the limit. OBJ, I think this says more about him and not wanting to be part of a champion team necessarily, because when you don't even have a quarterback that wants to come to work, I don't know how you think you're going to win a championship. So he's clearly about him still, and I actually feel like they dodged a bullet here.
Yeah, I don't think there was anybody that was getting 15 guaranteed up front. I don't think there's anybody doing that. So again, this feels like a cash grab from OBJ. Last time I'm going to get this much guaranteed money, and he kind of jumped at it, even though he's come out and said, I want to be part of a championship winning organization. It feels like that one ring for him is good enough. And maybe he will, after this, stop in Baltimore, but you've seen now what he has prioritized, and teams will also see that. So you probably aren't going to be in on him going forward if teams start to throw $10, $12 million guaranteed at him if he has a decent year this year, because it's a 1-year contract. So it's a situationally based situation. It's all based on OBJ getting that specific dollar amount. Now let's say the Cardinals cut DeAndre Hopkins, somebody is going to throw more than the Chiefs are going to want to pay. That's just going to happen because they have values on each one of these players, and they won't go over it. They've already done that. We've seen that they won't do it. So someone's going to throw money at D-Hop. The Chiefs are not going to be getting into any kind of money back and forth with any team. They just won't do it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. This is a great question, and thank you, Dylan. We appreciate you. Lee, or no, I'm sorry. It is Dylan's question. That we just finished.
About, yeah.
Yes. Will the Chiefs extend Jones or Snead? And do they trade Snead and Clyde? Lee, I think they're trying to get something done with both Jones and Snead. If they select a cornerback in the top 4 rounds this year, that means they're not optimistic they can get Snead back under contract. That's what that says.
Yeah.
Will they trade Clyde? I think they possibly could. I just don't know if anybody actually has anything they're going to give back for him. But honestly, if they get a draft pick for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
If they can get a move-up deal and he's the icing on top, that's a good thing. So we'll take it.
Yep.
This is Patrick's question. This is one I was thinking of. Over the last 5 drafts, where would you rank this class after having looked at it?
Totality-wise, it's up in the top 3, I think. Because I think that the defensive end, the tackle, and the quarterback class rivals some of the other classes. I think it's as good as the other classes were. It's the edge class this year is way better.
Yes.
Wide receiver is like the area where it's not as good. But I think everywhere else, interior offensive line, corner, it's a really good corner class. It's one of the best corner classes we've seen in quite a while, I think, in terms of guys that are going to go in the first round. So there's like no safety that's going to go in the first round. Maybe Brian Branch goes. There shouldn't be a linebacker that goes in the first round. But that's really more of a positional value kind of thing anymore now. So,
but it does go all hand in hand. I was going to say the same things. I don't have as much faith in this quarterback class. I think this is the worst quarterback class except for last year's in this 5-year run.
Oh, I disagree.
So, you think last year's was better? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
I'll still take Trevor
disagree.
Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and Trey Lance over this class any day of the week.
Oh, I will not. Trevor Lawrence, yes. I will not take Zach Wilson or Trey Lance over. I wouldn't take them over Anthony Richardson. I wouldn't take them over Anthony Richardson.
I think Anthony Richardson is going to be a complete failure.
Of those guys.
I think he will be a complete failure. Well, there are 2 quarterbacks in this class you can trust, and there's a third you might trust if he can come back from an ACL. If your name is not Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, I ain't taking you.
Anthony Richardson's much better than both Zach Wilson and
Anthony Richardson is going to be Lamar Jackson who can't complete passes. That's
completely
what he's going to be.
That.
Okay. You heard it here, folks. That's a $5 bet. We will cash it here in 3 seasons. I don't know. But yeah, I am much lower on this class than Dan is. And hey, I like that. Bring the optimism because I'm kind of crusty on it. Christo, how comfortable are you with the CB and safety room with Juan gone, with Josh, Jalen, Trent, and Brian in year 2, along with Edwards? I think Edwards is a nice addition. I see a lot of people hyping him up like he's this playmaker machine. I don't see that. He's opportunistic. I'll give him credit, but he's not taking the ball away like he's a one-man band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's room to improve. The problem is you can get, and that's why I say if they choose to draft another corner in the top 4 rounds, that means they feel they have better value in there than what they will have to pay L'Jarius. But there's no safety in this class. And I like a couple of the guys in the 3rd, 4th round range.
Yeah.
I don't think any of them are going to beat out Edwards, Cook, and Reed. There's just no way.
No. But I do think there's a couple of guys that they might draft later, like on day 3, depending on the value. I think Jair Brown out of Penn State's a good safety that you could develop. Because after this year, Bush is gone. Edwards is gone. You have 2 safeties in house. So I think they have to draft somebody and try and develop him. If not, you're looking at next year trying to replace their 3rd safety and 4th safety once again. Maybe you sign Edwards to an extension at some point, but again, you have a 1-year contract, and if he doesn't produce, guess what? He's out the door. That's kind of how that works. Maybe there's a couple corners that they think can transfer and play safety, because there's a couple of those guys in this class too that you might, that you might convert to safety. So there's always that option too.
Oh, you bring up a very good point about the conversion process.
Yeah.
I try not to bring that up too often because I think it's really, really guy dependent. Like it's not as much about the scheme. I think it's the dude that makes the decision whether you can actually get that done or not. But I like the concept there. Kev, what do you think about trading for Deontay Johnson, Pittman, Ayuk for a 2nd round pick? And did you guys hear what Carson Palmer said? Yeah, Carson Palmer's a Bengal. Don't listen to anything he says. If he has Mahomes and Burrow in the same sentence, just stop listening because he's not unbiased. And when he comes out and says, Mahomes is great at what he does, but Joe's more consistent. Does that make you the best quarterback in the league? Because I'm not so sure that it does.
He also said that Patrick Mahomes takes too many sacks. The quarterback he's adamantly saying is the best takes some of the most in the NFL.
Yeah,
we're being very honest with ourselves here. So this is just Carson talking out of his own butt. Yep. He just doesn't. He wants to say things to back up a Bengals quarterback, but wants to take away from the greatest quarterback in the NFL. So it doesn't make any sense. Yes, my daughter is laughing hysterically because I said but.
Right. So, you're dollar in the jar, Dad. Yeah, don't worry about that. That's just Carson being a Bengal, and good for him. He's got to play to his audience. So I don't think Cardinals fans miss him that much. So hey, go for it. In terms of Deontay Johnson and Michael Pittman, I don't think either of them are a second round pick for me. Ayuk is. I like Pittman. I don't know what they're doing in that offense. I got to tell you, this whole decision, and Dan and I will have another argument about Anthony Richardson. Should he go to Indy? Because I do think if there is a place for him, that's a pretty good bet. But if I'm Chris Ballard, I'm giving the Ravens what they want for Lamar.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a good setup with multiple tight ends. It's Lamar's thing. They can run the snot out of the ball. Like, I think it sets Lamar up well. And I think Chris might be in trouble if he doesn't get that done.
Yeah, I think the Lions need to get Anthony Richardson, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, okay.
I would love that landing spot so much.
Okay. It's like you got a little info there.
I don't know anything. I love the fit. And Jared Goff can let him sit a year. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Okay. Kirk, nice to see you. If Arizona cuts Hops, what are the Chiefs still in the running, or do the Chiefs look at the draft for a wide receiver? I think it's both. Like I said weeks and weeks ago, it was always a 1% chance until he got cut. When he gets cut, that all changes. And I do feel, unlike OBJ, that I think DeAndre Hopkins is a guy that sees the big picture and wants to win.
Yeah.
I think he's got enough money. I don't think that's what he's looking for. So I think they're more in it when he gets cut than they have been to this point.
I really hope so, because I think he would really help this offense out and give them something that they have lacked and kind of had with Juju. To an extent, he wasn't what DeAndre Hopkins can do, but it was still that back shoulder man coverage aspect that they kind of relied on at some points. Like, okay, I see a one-on-one and I'm going to take it. That was something that Patrick did last year. He never did before. He never said, I have a one-on-one on the outside, I'm going to throw a back shoulder because I know he's going to catch it. He never did that before last year. That's something I think that they're going to use more in this offense to move the ball.
I hope so, because I think it's an untapped resource.
Yeah.
There are a lot of ways to win. You might as well use them all, especially if they're going to keep throwing different defenses at you. I say make the defense coordinators think more. That's what I like. Steven, how are you? Good to see you, buddy. How do you like the interview? Yes.
I'm sorry, Steven. I'm talking about the interview.
I'm not sure which one. Yeah, I've given so many interviews lately, Steven. I'm sorry. I will come back to
the question about the was it with how about those Chiefs? Was that the question that we?
Oh, if that's what it is, yeah, had a blast with Cole. He's a good dude. We got in touch early when he first came to YouTube, and he's been classy to us. He does a good job, and he is crushing it. So kudos to him.
Kind of
Micah,
that, unfortunately.
Well, I'm subtle. Mike, I hope you're good, dude. Can we assume that if D-Cup gets cut, that they will take no less than OBJ's new deal of 15? I actually don't think that it does take that much, because he's been overpaid. When Steve Keim himself is saying, hey, the only problem to getting a trade for D-Hop is that contract I gave him. Ha, ha, ha. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I don't think it has to be that. And I think certainly I don't think D-Hop's scared of incentives. So I think he might take a lower base deal again with a chance to get a ring. Now, that doesn't mean it's Kansas City. He might want to go to Philly too. He might want to go to Tampa Bay. He might want to go, although Tampa Bay, I don't know why he would. I don't know why I said that. I meant San Francisco.
Yeah.
There are other places he'd want to go, but I do think that it makes the list much shorter, and I do think the Chiefs would be on it.
I'm with you.
Let's see. Doug has Tillman as a second-round draft pick and higher than Hyatt. Am I wrong? What are your thoughts? Dan, you go first. You did more work on the wide receivers than I did.
Yeah, I do have him as a mid to late round second round draft pick. And I have Hyatt as a third round grade. Jalen Hyatt gets a third round grade from me, and that's because he can attack downfield and he has good ball skills and tracking. That's it. That's all I know. I know nothing else about him because he didn't break out. He didn't do anything until last year. His biggest game was against Alabama, where they refused to play deep. They refused every time they brought the safety up. They said, "Hey, Jalen, go deep." Oh, touchdown! Because Alabama didn't respect it. They didn't do anything to stop it. And no one, if you just go watch South Carolina, they said, "Hey, Cam Smith, we know you're a really, 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 really good corner. All I want you to do, stay 10 yards off Jalen Hyatt and watch him." Guess what? Never got loose deep once that whole game. His skill set is so
narrow.
It's so narrow. And they never, with his speed, they never got him in space. They never wanted to get him in space. There was no jet sweep action. There was very, very few little quick wide receiver screens. They didn't want to get him the ball in space. They want him to go downfield.
Yeah.
That screams, we don't think you can change direction on a dime, because guess what? He can't do it. So
I think it's more about the coaching staff, because there's two
they
plays in that
threw
Alabama
Cedric
game.
Tillman a ton of wide receiver screens, a ton, which means they trust his change of direction more, at least to an extent, than Jalen Hyatt's.
Yeah, I wonder if it's the coach, though. I got to tell you,
you're probably not wrong.
When they did play that tight, they went over the top at Alabama. But I just watched that again the other day for the safeties. And the other thing that I noticed about Hyatt is he made one slant catch and one dig catch that I thought showed, oh, wait, maybe it's there to be honed. Like maybe they can get something else out of him. He can't do it consistently now. And even then, I don't think he came up with both those balls. But it made me think, man, he really got some actual coaching. He might be better off. Not to run down Tennessee's coaching staff. I don't even know who that guy is. I'm not trying to call anybody out. I'm just saying, like, there's always a chemistry thing. And at the next level, it's put up or shut up. But Doug, we both agree with you, and we both have Tillman higher than we do Hyatt. Let's see, Sugary. Looks like they were getting a pass catcher in the top 100 pick. Yes, I agree. Who are your top picks for those two in the first 3 rounds, and who would you hate the Chiefs getting? Hate's a strong word.
Yeah. After last year, I'm really going to stay away from the hate, the Chiefs drafting kind of thing, because you don't know anything for certain. Like, I speak a little more negatively about Jalen Hyatt because I see people have him as the best receiver in this draft class. Like, people that I respect, and I don't know how you can watch his tape and say that. I just don't. So that's more of what my vitriol is. It's with them not understanding. Speed isn't everything. I know speed kills, but teams are playing 2 high safeties at a higher level than they ever have in the NFL right now, and that negates his best quality. So I just can't get behind that. So
and the other thing that actually reinforces what you're saying is because the league is putting more emphasis now on guys that are sudden in short areas and can sit down in zones like JSN, because they're not just the screamers over the top, because Tyreek Hill taught the league how to defend speed. Leave 3 guys deep. It can work, you know? So I agree with you. I will say this. I have come around. I appreciate the Carolina kid you like, Downs. I appreciate him more now than I did several weeks ago.
Yeah.
I appreciate Mingo more than I did a couple weeks ago. And the guy that's really grown on me, I got like 2 films of Rashee Rice outside, and I went and rewatched the Senior Bowl, and I'm like, I could see it from here. He's not a first rounder.
No.
But 63, I could live with it.
Rashee is so, if he puts it together, like if you watch 3 separate games, you're like, okay, this game, he was good with the downfield catching. This game, he was good getting into his breaks, not adding steps. And this game, he was good as a yak. He never put it together in a single game, ever. That's why it was so frustrating. It's like, he's a really good athlete, but you know, he maybe played through an injury last year, but he just never consistently did everything well in a single game at all, in any of them. And that's frustrating. The one thing that carried over between games was his downfield, his ball skills, and his contested catch ability. I think it's one of the best in the class. But other than that, he was just so frustrating.
I get it. As far as the tight end position goes, I mean, Kincaid and Mayer are going to be the first 2. I don't think it's really close after that. I will say this. There's a lot of guys that are maybes. Luke Musgrave maybe is going to be a good player. I just don't know because of the injury. Darnell Washington has physical tools, but he doesn't run routes very well. He's maybe going to become a player. I don't know. The late guys that I really like, you guys have heard me talk about Davis Allen, who is about as athletic as Blake Bell is.
Yeah.
I think he ran like a 4.82, but he consistently gets open for his quarterback. He consistently makes contested catches. He gets first downs, and he puts out. And that's important, especially if you're talking about drafting a guy who doesn't have to be a starter. Like, I like that. And the other guy that I think gets totally overwhelmed and just dropped off of every list, who does the same thing for Hurts quarterback and always comes through to him, is Cameron Latu from Alabama.
Yeah.
Like, when Young's in trouble, he knows he has reliable hands and he can get a first down.
Yeah.
Okay.
We drafted him last night. I took your guy.
Oh,
I
did
was
you
like,
really?
yeah, we did. We drafted him last night. I was like, yeah, we're gonna take Cameron Latu. He's a good, reliable dude.
I feel totally vindicated now. Damn it. Sorry. I didn't mean to steal your thunder there. Do you any late guys that you like?
Oh, we talk about Mitchell Tinsley. He's a guy that I like a lot. Tight end wise, Tucker Kraft is somebody. I don't know if he's going to go late, but I do think day 3 is probably where he lands. I loved watching him.
Yep.
He didn't do a ton this year, but last year he was much more featured. I think he got hurt this year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he did. He did get hurt at some point this year, but a good willing blocker, ran good routes, has good yak ability. The catch to attack is all there from him. So I like Tucker Kraft out of South Dakota State University.
Right. Wrong SD.
There's too many colleges, guys. I've seen too many players and have too many colleges. So
it's
he's
the
a guy.
Tavai brothers from San Diego State y'all want to watch if you're looking for San Diego State. And no, they don't translate to the NFL.
No.
I love them, but no. And Super Double G, thanks for putting this out. If you guys would hit the like for me right now,
Appreciate
since
it.
there's over 400 on you, we'd like to get some likes there. It helps other
love the
Chiefs
400
fans
likes.
find us, right? That would be awesome. It helps other Chiefs fans find us and other football fans in general. And so we try to spread the wealth a little bit. Thank you for your question, Sugary. We appreciate you. Another member question. And Mike is back. Day 3 wide receiver steals. We're kind of in that range. We both like Tinsley. Where do you have Wicks and Mingo?
I have 0 Virginia tape.
Okay.
You're talking about Mingo. We talked about Mingo. You said Mingo. I don't think you meant to say Mingo.
I meant to say Mingo because I have not watched him yet. Is he not a day 3 guy?
Jonathan Mingo?
Yeah.
No, I think he's going in the second round. I think he's going in the second round.
All right.
Yeah. I
have
think
not
he's going
watched
to go in the second round. 6'3", 220 pounds, moves like he's 5'10", 190. Yeah. He's probably going in early day 2. I'm a big fan of his game. Again, more consistency problems, but translatable techniques you can't teach. You can't teach the feel he has to play yak position. You can't do it. I think Butte is going to go day 3. I don't know if he's going to go in day 2. But I would be willing to take a chance on him then myself, because then at least you're like, okay, it's not tons of problems with early investment. I like Ronnie Bell, a good solid chain mover, catches the ball well. He runs good routes. He did a lot of stuff at Michigan, end arounds, jet sweeps. He did a lot of different things that Andy Reid likes. He also blocks well. And then our guy Jake Bobo out of UCLA, big slot, bring him in, do whatever you
future
do.
tight end, yes. He and Elijah Higgins, super tight ends.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Mike, and thank you, Dan. I have not watched Mingo at all, so that's on me. Cam Smith or Addison first, and Mims in the second. Where do you have Mims?
I'm gonna level with you guys. I'm getting through his tape again because he's been one of my hardest evals. Everyone seems to be really high on him. I don't see it, and I can't tell if it's Oklahoma's offense because this year it was so awful. But last year I wasn't that high on him either. I watched him. I did a film review for him on NFL 33 from last year's tape. And he left me wanting more. His route tree is not expanded. I don't think he's a good yak player. I don't think he has good contact balance. I don't think he has enough twitch to make people miss after the catch. So I'm having a hard time with him. I think he's going to end up being a round 3 grade for me. So I can't get there with Mims. And I don't really know if, I know Ryan likes Addison in the first. Cam Smith probably going to be an early second round grade for me when I get a little bit more of his tape. So both of those guys are early seconds. Then I would have Mims in the third.
Yeah, Addison's my wide receiver too, and I have him in the low 20s. Like, I think I have him at 28 overall is where I'm spotting him. Cam Smith, I agree with you. Mid 40s ish.
Yeah, perfect form.
But they're both above Mims for me. Now I've only seen Mims in passing, maybe 1 or 2 films as I was looking at Anton or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that said. Adam Jensen, thank you. And thank you, Stephen. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much. And a great question. Change one play, Adam said, the D Ford offsides, the Fisher injury, or Mahomes finds the end zone at the end of either half versus Cincy. Which would have given us the best chance at a Super Bowl win that year?
Either one against the Rams.
Well, yeah.
If D Ford doesn't go offsides, I think they blow out the Rams in the Super Bowl the second time around. I think they blow out the Rams this last year. So that's how I go about it. I don't know.
Okay. I hated the Fisher injury, especially when it occurred.
It was tough. I just don't know if even at offensive line full strength they beat Tampa Bay.
Okay.
I just don't know.
Fair enough. Blake Freeman from BYU, a day 3 guy. Jason, I have him as a day 2, a third rounder right now. And again, it's probably close. I think when I stack it out, he'll be in the bottom third of the third round. But could he slip? Sure. I think 95 is about the last chance the Chiefs will have to get him, because I don't think at 122 he'll be there. Do you have thoughts, Stan?
Interesting. I think, if I'm not mistaken, my tackles, I have him probably a little bit higher than that.
Oh, yeah.
I think let me see. I'll pull it up right here. Blake Freeman. Yeah. I've got him a tiny bit higher. So, yeah, is that Bruno? My daughter's watching Encanto, and they just found him Bruno. So,
hey, you got to have
one. Got him as a mid third round. Mid third. He probably goes a little bit higher than that. But yeah, I like, both of us like him in this offense. I think he'd be perfect. Because again, good zone guy, doesn't have a ton of physical upper body strength to impose his will on everybody, but good athlete. You can move him around in space. You can get him out, pull him. You can run screens. It's a perfect situational fit for this offense if they want to play left tackle.
Yeah. I will tell you this too. I have Braden Daniels slightly ahead of him when it all was said and done. So I'll be interested to see what the league thinks of both the Utah-based tackles, because I think they're very similar. Braden Daniels is also very athletic, but has some growing to do. So keep an eye on both of those guys.
Talk about Jason. Guys who are athletic and need growing. Jalen Duncan is like that's the hallmark of athletic, but has no clue what he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, he's a hockey guy with a sweater pulled over his head. Doesn't have a clue where he's going yet, but he has a lot of ability to get there. So let's see what happens with him. He will definitely. I think Jalen Duncan's a day 3 guy. He's not that far away from where I have Wanya Morris, and then Freeland and Bergeron I have above them as well. So, and what's cool is we're gonna give you guys an inside look at the tackles, because Dan and I both did a bunch of them together.
Do some more tonight. So
rock and roll. Okay. How far does Brett move up? Asked Pono. A tackle is worth the Pentagon. Okay, I like that. I have nightmares about Taylor at left and Niang at right. I don't mind Taylor at left. I know I've seen a few snaps from college. There wasn't a lot. But again, I know he has the feet to get it done. Will it be super pretty? No, but I think it'll be just as pretty as Orlando was. I got to tell you,
it'll look prettier. It will. Just period.
Niang at right does bother me, because I just don't know. I think he has all the best intentions in the world. I just don't know if the man can stay healthy. That's really all it comes down to. So I agree, Pono. They need a tackle one way or the other. And I do think, by my count, especially if you get down to the guys that I think are right only, or have that athletic upside. I mean, we've got 16 dudes that I think can get drafted and play.
Yeah.
So there's opportunity.
Love it.
Okay, let's see. Micah, thoughts on Richie signing? I think it's great as a returner. I don't see a whole lot else that makes me feel comfortable.
Very good depth guy. Yeah. Just nice to have a depth guy. And again, he was forced into being much more than that last year, and I think he returned well. I like his speed downfield. He showed better as a contested catch guy than I expected from him from the Giants. So again, transfer of schemes, because Eric Kafka was the offensive coordinator there. There's a lot of familiarity with the schemes, so they know he can fit into this offense and do what is being asked of him.
Yes. The question will be, how far can he go, and what's the competition like? Could he be the 6th receiver? It's possible. I'm not 100% that'll happen, but it's possible. Chiefs fan, any chance we trade 31 and 63 with Clyde to the Jets for 42, 43, and 112?
No.
I don't think so. You might be able to get one of those 40s out from under them. I don't think they're going to give them both up. That's for sure. I'd love to see that personally, but I don't think they would.
I don't think they're trading back either. I don't think they can. I don't think they can afford it.
Yeah, they got stuff to do, especially if Aaron's coming to town. Lee, would you recommend the Mario?
Oh man, it was so good.
Was it
so good? It was great. Like, awesome. It was. She loved it. I thought it was much better than I expected it to be. It was fun. It was funny. So yeah, definitely recommend it. I gave it a solid 8 out of 10.
Nice. I like that. Carrie or CJ, sorry. What do you think about the Cal safety Daniel Scott? I like him. He's high athleticism, and so that gives me something to work at. doesn't necessarily know where he's going all the time. I watched him against Tanner McKee in particular. Tanner moving with his eyes quite a bit. So I think there's potential there. It's going to need some coaching up. Do I think he's maybe a little bit ahead of who's our other guy from BYU? The reserve safety.
Oh, no, it's not Skinner, is it?
No. The guy that's on the Chiefs roster, or was. That I can't remember, from BYU.
Man, I'm not going to be able to remember.
Okay, so anyway. Zane. I think he's ahead of where Zane was.
Okay.
I feel like he's a little bit ahead of where Zane was, but probably has about the same potential. If he can make it click, I like it because he has the tools physically to get there.
Gotcha.
Mark, worst case scenario, she's twayed up into the 20s.
I like it.
And have to choose between 3 prospects. LVN. Who dat?
Lucas Van Ness.
Oh, okay. Skoronski and Quentin Johnson. Who do you choose? For me, that's simple. Skoronski, because he's the only guy with the first round grade.
Yeah. And I'm pretty comfortable with that. I think he can play tackle. So I'm happy as a clan with Peter Skoronski at 20. I'll tell you what.
Yeah. I mean, that would be, and even if you are concerned about the arm length, he goes in and he's the next Joe Tooney for the next decade. So I'm good with that. I do think Quentin is a high second round pick. I do like Lucas Van Ness. I also think he's a second round pick. I have him, and his production and all of his metrics show to me he is best at a 3 tech and possibly a 5 if you're going to play a 3-man front. He's not an edge. He does not bend. There is like this much bend in his hips. It does not work. Tell me I'm wrong.
He's also not prepared.
Yeah.
He's not prepared, and it's Iowa's fault. They were playing guys that aren't as good over him. Like, he's a very powerful guy, but for whatever reason, they're going to play their seniors over this guy who should have been playing more. And that's a developmental problem. We'll see how it gets when he gets into the NFL. But again, like you said, he does not have the ability to hold up against tackles. When they can prepare for your power and they can anchor, guess what? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Your counters aren't very good. You don't have that outside inside because you can't threaten up the arc. He's not as fast off the ball as you'd like him to be either. And you don't really know if he is or not because he's playing a ton of inside anyway. Like it's hard to get him. I just can't. I think you're drafting a less bendy George Karlaftis, maybe a bit stronger. Like,
I think he's much more explosive, and I think
that's
stronger
what I mean.
at the point of attack.
He's definitely faster off the ball, and he's got more power.
Yeah.
Both of those things are accurate, but I think he's less bendy. If that's possible. And no offense to George, if he's getting better in that regard. We'll see how he looks next year and how he's working with his hands. LVN needs to work with his hands too, because he doesn't know how to use them either. He's got no clue. But again, that's Iowa's fault.
Yeah. But that said, I have him as a midday round 2 pick, 50s-ish.
Tons of upside.
And I do think he can turn into a Pro Bowl level player because of his physical attributes.
Yeah.
Because he crushes dudes constantly. If he were to get maybe a swim and a rip, God forbid he ever spun, I don't think he'll ever do that. But I think if he can develop a counter to his bowl, if he comes off, even if they stack him like half a foot, 6 inches, 12 inches off the line, just to get a little bit more momentum, his speed to power is real as well. So I think there's room to get there. He could become a very good player. And Mark, I know that's way more answer than you were looking for, especially when we twayed into the 20s. So thanks for your patience. I'm sorry. Wink, does Will Anderson getting swallowed up by good tackles scare you off of him? Not at all.
Will Anderson's a blue chip prospect.
I agree. And I think in particularly this last season, he was asked to gain weight. He was asked to play a lot more conservatively in terms of giving up the edge. He was not allowed to scream. And that's how I feel about watching his film. I think he is going to be a monster.
He also played like maybe 50% at 4I this year.
Yeah.
Inside. And people I have seen people that, are tweeting him out about where he's playing inside, he's getting double teamed, but he's working down the line to make a tackle and saying this is a bad rep. No, that's not how that works. I'll send you the tweet. Don't worry. I'll send you the tweet, Ryan, because this is nonsense.
I gotta see that.
What I'm seeing about the disrespect to given to Will Anderson. He is powerful. He can set a true edge, but you want him to play edge. You don't want him to play 4-eye, but Alabama had no choice. They had no choice. They had to because
what else did they have? They had Turner, and that's it.
Their defense was not good. They didn't have guys that could hold up, so we had to come inside.
Which, by the way, I do like Turner next year. We'll start in May. We'll start in on the next class is what we'll do. Thanks, Wink.
Come on.
Jackson, do you guys think that we should go and get Nolan Smith because he's my draft crush? I'm just wondering how he'll fit in their scheme. That's the hard part, is they'd have to manufacture something. He'd always have to be the guy outside on a tight end side that the tight end splits out, like almost unencumbered. His problem, Nolan Smith can beat every tackle in the NFL with his speed. But if he doesn't, he has to meet the tackle 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Because if the tackle gets his hands on him before that, he's not going to be able to power through it. He can dip, he can rip, that's fine. He can go around the edge, but he cannot power through tackles enough at the NFL level like he did in college. He got away with it there. He does have good power and great speed to power. It's just not enough for NFL tackles.
Sorry, my daughter's distracting me half.
You're all good, man. No big deal. But Jackson, I agree with you. And I'm seeing more and more that he could be slipping because of that fit. Now, here's the thing. And I said this, and I can't remember where I was. I want to say it was in Florida last week on the radio, and the host came back at me pretty hard. You guys don't play a 3-4. And I said, no, the Chiefs don't. But Joe Cullen does. And if they want to get hybrid, they could use him on base downs. And if they don't, they can run it over and they can get him outside where he's not manned up and within reaching distance of every tackle every time. Yeah. There are ways you can scheme him around. And so if they do feel that he does have the value there that they want to scheme around, they can do it. He is such an athlete. I don't feel he has much more room on his frame personally. But if they feel that he does and that they feel that they can get more power out of him, they may be able to pull the trigger. If it was that case, he would definitely be an overhang type thing like you've seen Willie or Leo last year rush off the edge when they're kind of over the formation set. That would be the best way.
Yep.
Okay, I'm talking a lot, Dan. Is the tight end in the first round out of the question?
Yeah, it's completely out of the question. Their needs are just too large elsewhere for them to draft the tight end in the first round. Sorry, Greg.
Okay. There is a scenario, I will say, though, that every first-round grade goes, you can't trade out of it, and you're stuck looking at a Mayer or a Kincaid. If that's the case, you may have to.
If that's the case, I think they will trade down. I don't think that they can realistically draft a tight end in the first round.
I don't think so either. I just don't know if they'll be able to get out of it. James, who is the dark horse defensive end or defensive tackle in the Chiefs draft? Dark horse. I feel like I pump them all up so much. I'm not very good at doing a dark horse.
I think Fiocco out of San Jose State is a dark horse that they'll draft. I like his game a lot. He's also a bit bigger. I think he's 6'4", 263, something like that he measured in at. So that's a good Spags defensive end as well. He's got quick footwork off the edge. So he's got some speed to power as well. So I think he's somebody that maybe doesn't get a ton of talk. I'm seeing a bit more of it recently. That they're looking at. Let me pull up my defensive tackles here really quickly because there might be a couple of guys on this list. That
in the meantime, I'll tell you my edge guy. It is Isaiah Foskey, who I think has fallen down boards because they didn't give him a set job last year. I do think he's a Spags kind of guy in terms of playing with power and not that much dip, to tell you the truth. I think he has more to offer. Chiefs love a captain. He certainly is that, and they love high-quality leadership type-based guys. And so he might even last till the third round, and I do think he could be a dark horse selection for them.
Yeah, I think that Byron Young, Alabama defensive tackle, is a dark horse player as well. Again, very, very difficult to one-on-one block coming out. And if you're getting double teams at Chris Jones, it's a very nice spot to put in a Byron Young, who has, I think, really good get-off. And then he has the work arm around. He's got some of the athletic ability as well. So he's somebody that I liked out of Alabama. He can really penetrate well. You pair that with someone, like, again, who's going to be double teamed to Chris Jones. I think that makes a nice, easy pickings for him to be able to get upfield and make some noise in the background or in the backfield.
I'll give you another one because this is the year of the undersized defensive tackle. A lot of people projected Kalijah Kancey into the first round. I think that's crazy. If somebody does it, it's another slot of tackle can fall to the Chiefs, so I'm happy for it. Tommy Adewale should be a second-round pick. He's not a first-rounder. But they're not the only ones. I do like the concept of that guy. I just can't spend, a top 60 pick on it. But you come back around 4th round, maybe a little bit lower. I don't know where it'll go, but I like Carl Brooks being the same kind of dude from Bowling Green that you don't have to make the investment in. And I do like that concept. Do either of you think we have a chance at snagging Quentin Johnson? I do, Cole. I actually do.
They do. If they want to take a chance in the first round, I think he'll be there. And I don't think they'd have to trade up to get him, especially with what we're hearing now.
And if they do, it would only be a few spots, like less than the McDuffie trade up. So even if they got a little spooked, if they really wanted to go get him, they could. I feel like that's the way it's going to go, unless somebody's just in love and hasn't told anyone yet. Because everything we're hearing is that he's sliding down to where we originally had him in the first place. Nick, thank you for the super chat, buddy. I've seen many mock drafts where A.T. Perry goes in the second round, and after watching Brett Coleman's video, I would take him there. How about you guys? Yeah, Nick, we've been on Perry for a while. He's one of my guys since last year when I thought he might come out last year, to tell you the truth. Perry in the second works for me. Will he last in the 70s? There's a possibility. He is a little bit thin. He has a little bit of contact strength issue in terms of bigger, stronger corners being able to get him off of his route line. But he elevates well. He's more explosive. What's sad is that Tillman's actually better at the catch point in terms of contested catches in serious contact. But I like Perry and what he brings, and I think he's a Quentin Johnson 50 picks later in terms of being able to run and give you a little bit of speed and a little bit of underneath and a little bit of contested. His size speaks for it, but I haven't seen Brett's piece on it yet, and Brett's great. So I'll have to take a look at that too. How do you feel about him now, Dan?
No, I like Perry. He's probably going to have a 3rd round grade on him. Just doesn't do enough physically, speed-wise in the first 10 yards to really threaten corners, because he's got the deeper speed, but he doesn't get there quickly, and he doesn't threaten corners. In the NFL, if you can't threaten and make them flip their hips before they're ready, guess what? It doesn't matter how well you are, how well you run your routes underneath. If they can sit on your underneath routes because they're not afraid of getting beat behind themselves. So I like him. I like his length, his size, all of that. I like his catch to attack as well. It's quick, but I don't know how effective he's going to be in the NFL because he can't threaten deep for corners to really make them flip their hips.
That's all fair. I think a little bit of NFL coach is going to help, though. I'm going to stay on the optimistic side of that one. Thank you, Nick. We appreciate you, dude. Ryan, I emailed you. I hope you got it. I know you've been busy. I absolutely have, Ryan. I have not.
You're just going to get messy. Sorry. It's fine. Just pick it up.
Life gets messy, and that's the way mine's been lately. I'm sorry, dude. I will re-scrub the email coffers and try to get back quickly, to you, Ryan. Let's see. No worries. So Ryan, I will get back to you. I'm sorry I haven't seen it yet. What's your thoughts about Joe Burrow not getting signed yet? I think it's going to be a gargantuan contract.
Yep.
I wonder if his agent is trying to push towards, well, look, Deshaun got guaranteed, and now Lamar wants guaranteed. We want a little bit of that love. That's just pure speculation on my point. I don't know what the holdup is. Technically, they could have signed him by now, but I'm sure they will. They'd be ridiculous not to. So it's not like they're the Browns.
Yeah, right.
Hefe, do you guys believe teams aren't as high at wide receiver in the draft, so the Chiefs will be willing to move up and draft one? I do believe that teams aren't quite as high as media are. Whether the Chiefs are willing to move up or draft one, I'm still way out. I have no concept of whether they think so or not.
Yeah, I don't. It's hard to tell what the Chiefs think, but I think that they're probably going to be with consensus. But talent-wise, they can scheme anybody open. So maybe they see a guy that, especially if no one else is taken, they're like, okay, we know we can scheme them open anyway, so let's take advantage of a player who's really talented, but maybe isn't everyone's one. We have our one. If we think we have our one, we can draft a 2 right now and still scheme them open. They might take a chance on that.
Yeah, could be. I would not put it past them. I think there's opportunity there, especially for the way that Veach thinks. So I do like that. Folks, one more time, if you do want to get in on any of the gear, grab over there at the RGR store. It's in the description. You can grab that link and go to Rogue APC and get pre-ordered on the draft guide. It should drop by Wednesday at the latest. You get the discount by using that code RGR23. I want you guys to get to that discount. A lot of you guys have been buying it without using the discount. Go ahead and use it. That's what it's for. That's the reward for being a viewer here. I appreciate the support, but don't feel like you have to. Go ahead and use the code, please. Oscar, Ryan Dan just joining, but what I missed about the great mock draft from Locked On. Thanks. Watch it earlier while working. Always thanks for the content. Well, thanks, Oscar. I'm glad you liked it. I got to tell you, I'm having trouble coming up with new scenarios, to tell you the truth. Like the trades, the way that the trades have been falling to me lately have just been crazy, and I'm trying not to do it, but like I can't walk away from like a trade I win and I get the tackle that I want. Like I just can't say no.
Yeah, like I was doing a mock earlier on PFN, who just released their updated version of their mock draft simulator, and the 49ers offered me Brandon Ayuk to go to 31. I'm like, they're not going to do that. They're just not going to do it. It's like, I'm going to take this, but they're not going to do it.
Right? That's just crazy. Oh my Lord, that's nuts. Thank you, Oscar. Appreciate you. Ryan White, thank you. Can you explain why you like Broderick more than Paris? Is it Chiefs fit specific or traits play style, or you simply like their tape? A little bit of everything. I simply like his tape, but for me, it's the fact that Broderick's still more raw, yet he plays with better balance. I think he has a better anchor, and I can see him growing into a dominant player. I think Paris is going to be a good tackle. I just don't see dominance in his future. Do you, Dan?
I think he can dominate, but I think that Broderick Jones' upside is, we're talking about a first-team All-Pro type of tackle upside, but that's what you're hoping for with any of these guys. You're taking the athletes that have that raw strength, that have that natural feel for the position, and you're hoping you can develop everything out. And especially if you're getting the two guys in the same room with Andy Heck, which one do you think he can make into an all-pro tackle? It's the guy with the highest upside, and I think you could still argue that Paris Johnson can get to that point with Andy Heck. I think it's easier with the guy who has all the tools and all the ability in the world, the athletic ability, the strength, and all of that in his game already.
Yeah. And I will tell you this, there's just that extra layer as well. When they needed somebody on the offense to kick the snot out of everybody and get them going, it was Broderick Jones. Yeah. Like he's another alpha in the room of alphas that Mahomes needs to drive the whole thing. And I'm doubling down on that part of it as well.
Yeah, I like it.
Gary, Ryan, do you guys like highlight? Oh, we got this earlier. Sorry, Gary, I double dipped you here. But yes, we're both higher on Tillman for sure. Sent you my newest 5-round mock. Awesome, Steven. I have not seen it. I will have to check that out. You guys can reach me at the email address. It's rgrpodcast@gmail.com. Can always do that. Oh yeah. Thanks, Dan. We're at an hour, so we're gonna go through the rest here. It's my daily speed up from Dan message. Okay. Rock on. 7262. Name 3 players you do not want the Chiefs to draft. Miles Murphy, Zay Flowers, and Darnell Washington for me. 3 guys you just don't like for the Chiefs.
I'm coming off of the DeJuan Jones area. I had a couple mocks where I was like, yeah, it makes sense. I just don't want them to draft him. I like what he can do now, but I don't think there's any upside there. I think he is what he is, and I just don't like that. So I can't do that. I don't want them to draft Lucas Van Ness. I'd also think he's going higher anyway, so that won't be an issue. So we already talked about Jalen Hyatt, so I won't say Jalen Hyatt. I will say go into my wide receivers here because we'll do this. I don't want them to draft Parker Washington. I don't like him. Okay. I'm out on Parker.
Fair enough. That's cool. You get to have your opinion too. Guys, I don't want them to draft. I don't usually set up that way, but I will tell you guys that I will be disappointed and concerned with. Jalen Duncan. But he is the kind of guy that they will like late, cheap investment, athletic upside. They feel they can coach anybody. I think that might be a little bit too deep of a hole to go. Let's see. Who else don't I like? I don't like Jordan McFadden. I got to tell you, I just didn't enjoy his tape. Didn't stand out to me. Who else? It is both the Oregon guys that they feel are edges but aren't because they're not really bendy enough and they're not really strong enough. That's Dorless and DJ Johnson. Didn't care for either of them. And I think that's enough of me running guys down. Sorry, that's all I can come up with off the get-go. Brenda, welcome to the memberships. Appreciate you. If you are in at the rookie level or above, you get into the Discord. Hit me at that email address again. It's rgrpodcasts@gmail.com, and we'll get you hooked up. Once you do that and you're a rookie level here on the channel, when you go to Discord, you just have to connect your accounts and you get into the full gamut. Anybody can go into the lobby for the Discord. In fact, I will put the address up here again, just so everybody knows. You can find Stevie in there, FLDB, Aaron, Gooch, they hang out. You can find them here at Discord. It's bit.ly/RGR Nation. You can get in there. But if you want full access to all the behind the scenes stuff, you can get in there with the rookie membership like Brenda did. Cheers, Brenda. Cole saw a proposed trade where we were getting D-Hop in exchange for CEH and had to laugh because I guarantee an even swap.
There's no way.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, that's just a fan wanting D-Hop. Move along. Ignore that one. Teddy, hope you're doing well. There's no way they really plan on Buechele being QB2, right? Because as of now, I'm worried. Thankfully, they have a draft a guy. I'm a Hainer fan. And hopefully not too late to post this. No, you're absolutely fine, Teddy. I have to tell you, though, I think they might be loosening the reins and thinking Buechele could be the 2. I think they get him. I do think that they get him competition, though, just to make sure. Maybe that's a veteran and a draft pick. I don't know. I got to tell you, there are guys late that I think can come in here and compete, guys that are underrated right now. Clayton Tune, Stetson Bennett, I think are going to be 6th or 7th round picks that you can just throw a dart at and see if they can compete with Buechele.
I like Jaron Hall.
Do you? Okay.
I know there's a lot of non-Jaron Hall fans. I just think that there are just some throws that he makes that not many other players in this draft class do. And they're sporadic, and he throws the ball into places he shouldn't all the time. But I like the ability, not that he would be a really good developmental 3rd option to begin. That's why he's going to go in the 7th round. Yeah, absolutely. And he's worth a dart as well. I totally agree with you. And good for you for looking at things he does well and staying away from the hate. Look at you. I like that. That's nice. Thank you, Teddy. We appreciate your support, bro. Appreciate it, man.
John, boo-boo. Does Reid and Veach or the Chief Scouts use any of the mocks that are out there to do their evaluation? No, they don't care what any of us say. In fact, I've even had somebody in the front office tell me to stop sending them mine because a couple of years ago I was like, hey, this is what I think you should do. And they're like, we don't care. But I will tell you, internally, they run their own mocks. The NFL is a small community. Every scout in the room, if they're not a junior Blesto scout that they got hired out of college, they know somebody at a scouting department at 10 other clubs. They kind of get the feel for how they scout. And so they run their own internal mock drafts about what they think the other teams ahead of them will do in order to get an area of where they think they can make something happen. So I do think that you'll see that. But they don't. Bro, no. If Reid and Veach ever came to me, I'd be like, whatever you say, man. I'm just telling you, I'm out here talking my trash. But in real life, Deuce Vaughn in the 4th. Re-sign McKinnon, cut ties with CH. What do you think of that? I think you're 3 rounds too early on Deuce. Other than that, I'm with you.
3 is a little much. 3 is a little much. I would take him in the 5th or 6th.
Okay. I can live with that. I do like the plan, Cole. Just don't overpay for like a guy that you can get later. And that's not a slight on Deuce. That's just a slight on what the rest of the league thinks of him. If you don't overpay if you don't have to, is my only thought. Let's see. Thundarius, thank you, Broderick Jones bus. I knew you might say that there, Thundarius. It's like you're a dog fan, I'm pretty sure.
Just a little bit.
PK, thank you for this one. Appreciate you. And thank you for this one. I don't know if you meant to do that at the same time or not, but if Carter falls out of the top 10, do you trade up? Where do you stand, Dan?
Oh man, that's a really tough question because while yes, also no. Like yes, but he's not a position of need that they need to trade up to draft. Like if you draft Jalen Carter, you're talking about probably giving up your 2nd and 3rd round draft pick, or maybe your 1st round draft pick next year.
Yeah. So
you're taking away pieces that they need to fill for a guy who's not going to be an edge, whose best position is where Chris Jones is playing, if we're being honest, and putting him out of position hurts him. So you're negatively impacting his draft pick and future positions. So I think I just talked myself into absolutely not, unless you're trading Chris Jones.
I'll put it this way. When it gets to the 18 range, 18 and lower, you can do it for a third round pick and not a second.
Yeah.
And I'm all in on that because I think if you can get him in the right program, he has the potential to be the next Chris Jones.
Yeah.
I truly believe that.
I'm with you there.
But Dan's right. I can't give up a second and a third. I can give up one of those. I'd rather not give up the second at all. But yeah, like 18 is about where I would say I would start pulling the trigger, PK. Appreciate you. And Dan's, we've been on an hour, and the Canon cameras, they generally do this.
I don't understand. I need to find a way to get a better battery life in these things.
Right. Oh,
Absolutely need to.
I've been there. Chiefs fan, do you feel that Derek Hall is a poor man's Will Anderson? I can't say that I'll go that far. He definitely has speed to power I like. I think in general, he understands how to attack. His handwork is not as good, in my opinion. He isn't as strong. He's not as explosive as Anderson. But again, you disagree about the strength? You think he is stronger than Anderson?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I think he's at least as strong, but
okay,
he's not the athlete, and he can't do any of the stuff that Will Anderson does from an athletic standpoint.
Right.
He just can't do it.
But I will say this: Derek Hall at 55 or 63, I would do that over Will Anderson at 2 because of what you would have to give up to go get there. You know what I mean?
For sure.
In terms of value, certainly. Adam, would you draft Phelps for KU, Ryan? I think he does have a draftable grade on my board. He's right on the borderline. He's a 6th, 7th rounder. He's a late guy that has ability that you can maybe hone. He's kind of the antithesis of Leo, honestly. He's a pass rusher that's got a linebacker body instead of Leo's a linebacker that's got some ability to change it up. Together, they would make a really nice, well-rounded dude. But I think Lonnie's worth a chance. Again, it's not anything I'm gonna say that completes my position, but it's like if he's available and we have a pick, I have a grade on him good enough to draft. Yes.
It's like his teammate out of Wisconsin too, Nick Herbig. He's an excellent pass rusher, great hands, and knows what he's doing. Combine those two guys, and I mean, we've got a guy who could play defensive end.
Nick Herbig is the most productive pass rusher in this draft.
He's I think he's the second best pass rusher in the whole class.
Do you really?
from a pure pass rushing standpoint and technique wise, I think he's the second best. His hand usage is incredible, but he's 220 pounds and 6'2" or whatever it is. He's small. Dude, he can't play.
It hurts sometimes.
There's 240 or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, no, I think he's lighter than that, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, he's small.
Guys, this is where I'm going to change the banner here. Yep, you want to go get that. That's a good one. We're getting down to the basics of it. I'm going to work through the night tonight. We're going to burn it tomorrow. If I can get it done by tomorrow night, we'll have it out for dinner. If not, it'll come out Wednesday and we'll be good to go. This is something we do front to back, scratch. Everything is ours. So it sometimes on a small crew like ours, we do have to take a little bit longer. Not my favorite thing, but sometimes that happens some years. So I just want to let everybody know. We will get it out and it is coming. So that said, last couple questions and we'll let Dan get back to being a parent. Yeah. Steven said, love you guys in love the mock drafts. Thank you and the work. Appreciate it, Steven.
Thank you, Steven.
I make to get your opinions on it through Twitter. Okay. I like it. Yes. Feel free. Send them over there and I will check it out and get to the Twitter replies, buddy. I've been offline for a family thing this whole last week and I've either been in film or I've been with my kids. So I will take a look and try to get back to you. Evo, is there a reason why there's so many old prospects?
I don't know.
I have a theory about that. The last 2 drafts, we've seen a lot more underclassmen. There was 106 2 years ago. There was 102 last year of juniors came out. There's only 84 in this class.
Yeah.
So I think it's some dudes just got leaped by good talent. That's what it feels like to me.
Maybe it was the COVID year.
Yeah, absolutely.
That could have really impacted the guys that had to stay because they lost a year development. They had to stay a little bit longer to get that development in. That could have really thrown a wrench into the draft classes, any of them, honestly. So that's possible. But I've seen a lot of redshirt seniors in this draft. I'm putting their information and I'm like, this guy's a redshirt senior. This guy's a redshirt senior. This guy's a senior. There's a ton of them. Ton of them.
Which makes me like, it makes the first round picks on those guys a little bit more attractive, right? Because you get the 5th-year extension and you can probably project them to only a single contract that you really want to give them, right? So I don't think it's always the negative that the media portrays it. I think the teams are thinking, if he hits and I get the extra year, I'm done, I'm good.
Yeah,
so
I think the fantasy community has really done a number on that too. We don't want any of these 24, 25-year-old players because they're not breaking out at a young age. Like that's done some negativity, especially for the media side of it. Like I don't think teams care so much, but in terms of what we see online, people are just like, we don't want these old guys.
Right.
Like, there's a linebacker out of Washington State, who played at Nevada, but he played wide receiver, safety. Yeah, Henley. Henley out of, I think he's going to be a really fun player, but he's 24 years old. He didn't know what he was going to do. They played him like he didn't know what to do. It's not his fault. And Nevada's not going to get the best out of you. So he ends up transferring to Washington State. I'm telling you, he's going to end up being really fun in the league. Someone's going to get their hands on a guy and they're going to send him off, and he's going to be terrorizing offensive lines and quarterbacks.
And kudos to all you Palouse fans, all my buddies that went to Wazoo. I hope you enjoyed your time with them. You guys have been getting some decent recruits lately. Keep it up. Last question. Thank you all for the support tonight. Thank you for all your super chats, including Stevens here. How much of a step forward does Karlaftis, the Greek freak, take this year? Tell me.
I'm going big, okay? I'm going big. I love what I'm seeing working with Tamba. We know that when Tamba started taking jiu-jitsu classes, it's when he entered his prime, the prime of his career, got the sacks. I think he's going to get 10 this year. I think George Karlaftis is going to get 10 sacks this year, and he's going to be the run defender that we thought he was coming out. He wasn't that last year, but he's going to take a step up. Hand usage is still important in the run game. It's not just your pass rush. It's important in the run game to get inside the tackle. Avery, stop it. Press B. Now press A.
Oh.
She just freaks out and loses all sense of anything. But it takes 2 simple buttons to press it to get it to work out. So hand usage is very important and being able to stop the run to set an edge. You get inside and you can extend because he has the power to extend tackles. I just think he didn't think he did a very good job of that last year. Tackles are much better at saying no, you can't put your hand there. And he was like, wait.
What do I do now?
Yeah. So the hand usage is going to be good. So I think he's going to get a double-digit sacks this year.
Have you ever seen that birding movie with Jack Black and Owen Wilson and Steve Martin? It's called The Big Year, and everyone's going around. Oh, you're saying he's having a big year, huh? Okay, I'm going to do you one better. I'm going 11 for Karlaftis.
Okay,
that's what I'm going. I'm going the big year, not you. That's what
I hope so. That's fine.
But honestly, I agree with everything you said, and knowing where Tamba comes from and how he made his progression. I mean, the only thing better is if we hear that he's working with Master Kim next week. I mean, that will set me off. But yes, I think he could take a step forward, and I do believe that. I felt like there were a lot of times he played like he knew what he was trying to do, but he was still a little bit timid about pulling the trigger there because I didn't see all of his explosion that we saw on film at Purdue. So I do think that there's some reserve there.
We also want to take some credit here for Justin Ross. By the way, everyone, that Ryan and I can effectively say we are the reason you're seeing all the videos out. Literally, since we have talked about, there has been nothing. We have seen 4 or 5 workout videos from Justin Ross. So you are all very welcome for getting the Justin Ross hype because it started right here. And Stevie was the one that pointed it out right here. So yes,
awesome.
Right here. It is us. We are the ones that made this happen. You're welcome, Chiefs Kingdom.
So, John, I'm waiting for you next. Whenever you're ready, let's see it. I'd love to see how you're doing there, buddy. Last one, just because we saw it here at the end. King, I do like Michael Wilson. He had I think maybe a more outlier performance at the Senior Bowl that opened some eyes that it is partially the offense that they were running. I've given Tanner McKee a lot of kudos for playing through that offense and that offensive line in particular. I should do the same for Wilson. So I do have him as definitely a draftable prospect. I think he could sneak into the top 100.
Absolutely. I think that he could go. I think he's going to go in the 4th round, but you're talking about a guy who moves well for his size. He has inconsistencies with his hands, and that's a lot of guys in this draft, in my opinion, have inconsistencies with their hand usage and catching and clapping at the football. So it's going to be an epidemic, I think, in this draft class if you don't hit the guy that can develop out of that, because a lot of them don't. A lot of them keep it and throughout their entire careers, because let's face it, what team is saying let's improve his hands? No, we want to get him open. We want him to understand the game. He'll figure out the catches. And oftentimes they don't look to develop the hands. They have to do it on their own. Like we saw Tyreek Hill going and catching, soccer balls, trying to get better at the catching process. It takes a lot of individual work. And if you don't have that, you're not going to get better at catching. You're just not.
And it takes the right coach, I got to say. To make that connection, it really does take the right coach. Thank you, Keys. And thanks for the Justin Ross hype vids. Yep, absolutely.
Oh,
and hi, Dan. And Steven, you're right. The Chiefs have always said that they've scouted that heavily. And I saw them down there, the Chiefs contingent, and it was a full house. They do put a lot of stock into that game, so I like that.
Darn all right. Derek Hall, baby.
Hey, could happen. I mean, depending on where, I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
So everyone, have a great night. That is our show for today. We'll be back with you this week. Gary's back. He's got something really cool I think you guys are going to dig this week. We're coming for it. I'm going to have more clips of some of these things that you don't have to watch an hour and a half live stream for. So look for some of those coming as well. We appreciate you and Dan. It's always a single dad. We appreciate you taking the time.
No problem, guys. Hopefully we'll get through this. I'm actually going to be taking a small vacation, semi-vacation, the week just before the draft. On a week from tomorrow, I'm flying into Vegas to be with my wife for a week before we drive back. So not really a week, more like a couple of days. Then we're driving back, and I will be back in town for the draft, because this is where it's at, and we'll be somewhere trying to figure it out.
That's awesome. Okay, man, that's cool. Okay, good. You can find all of Dan's work as well as mine over in the Rogue APC draft guide that's coming, and then check out our articles at NFL 33. Dan's done some great work, and we're going to continue as we get closer here. Once we get the guide done here, we can take a breath and put out more content. So we're almost there, folks. Thank you for your patience and all of your support. If you would like and hit the sub, we would appreciate that. Have a great night.
You got a sneak peek.
Sneak attack. All right. Have a great one. Thanks, Dan.
You too, guys.
Night.